So, first of all, thank you so much for joining my live and having a chat with me. Thank you for agreeing to be on my South Africans Abroad collaborations. Thank you.
No, not a problem. Thanks for having me. And I just want to touch on what you said. I think it's very important what you're doing, exposing the world to South Africans abroad. So, yeah, I think it's a very important thing that you're doing, and I support it. So hence I'm here today.
Thank you so much. I think it's so interesting, right? Like, I think for me, because, well, for me, it's not even like a thing of you being nosy, but it's a thing of like, you see how other people are like handling it abroad. And you're like, wow, I can do this too. Like, especially from someone who looks like you, especially from someone who comes from the same township as you, from someone that went to the same high school as you. You're like, okay, if this person can do it, then no, man. Also, I can do it too,
It's very important. It's important work that you're doing. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I wanna so if I'm looking down, it's because I have my PC here. So so first question, right? Please introduce yourself. So where in South Africa are you originally from?
Okay, so my name is Lebo. I'm from South Africa. I was born in the Free State, but then I grew up in this town called Lebo, Limpopo. It's a very agricultural kind of town. So I've been there for years of my life, I'd say. And then I lived in Pretoria ever since. And then from Pretoria, So that's pretty much my background. Did high schooling in Pretoria, hence why I moved to Pretoria. I graduated university as well in Pretoria. So half my life in Marble Hall and half my life in Pretoria, and the past 3 years here in Japan.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So now, where do you live in Japan? Because I live in Tokyo. Like, where do you live?
I stay in Wakayama. So that's west of Japan, in the Kansai region. It's just underneath Osaka Prefecture. So
is it like a city or like a coastal city or like Inaka, the Bundus, like a village?
It's more like Inaka vibes. It's a town. It's not considered a city. It's a town by definition. So your population is very, very tiny. It's I think like 20,000, 16 to 20,000. So it's a very, very small population. It's perfect if you love nature, but if you don't like nature, then it may be a little bit tough to.
No, sorry, guys. If you don't like nature, please do not put Wakayama on your JET program. Because if you put like Inaka vibes, they might put you. They actually might put you in like the Inakas of Inakas. If you put that. All right, so thank you so much. So question 2, right? So next question that I want to ask regarding like learning Japanese and first of all, so before coming to Japan, right? Like while you were in Pretoria and as South African, so did you know Japanese before coming, or did you only start studying and learning it upon like living in Japan?
I actually started learning a little bit of Japanese back in South Africa, but like a tiny amount, like a teaspoon's worth of Japanese. So I could write hiragana and katakana. So I learned that in a month, and then I just learned.
Wait, you learned how to write? Wait, you learned how to write katakana in 1 month, in 30 days?
Both hiragana and katakana. So I split it in 2 weeks. And I don't know, I got a hang of it very quickly. Kanji is very tough, so I'm still learning and practicing kanji every day. And still practicing grammar.
Do you know, like sometimes you have different people who are naturally adept to learning languages and people who really, really struggle. Like, let's say you have the same time frame, but someone cannot get in 30 days and someone can. So I feel like, are you part of the people who are just like catch languages just like that?
I don't know. People say I am, but, I don't like to label myself as this or that. But from a young age, I have been very interested in languages. So English is not my home language. Sepedi is my home language.
Same, yeah.
But I learned English fairly quickly when I started learning English. And prior to learning English, I actually learned Dutch. Because when my parents would go away, our caretakers, my sister's caretaker and I were this old Dutch couple. And yeah, we just kind of, well, I was very interested in it. So I just learned Dutch. And growing up, like, my best friends have always been Dutch, whether from Belgium or the Netherlands. And I'm still friends with them to this day. We speak English, of course, but whenever I visit them, it's obviously Dutch in the house. So I was very exposed to Dutch at a young age, Sepedi as well. My mom is Soto, so I can hear and understand Soto very well.
Yeah.
And then I learned English after that. And then in high school, had to take French and Mandarin Chinese. So yeah, I can't speak a lick of Mandarin Chinese. I forgot it. But I think from Mandarin Chinese, that's where my interest in Asian languages sprung up, because I've always grown up knowing that I want to know at least one important Asian language, one important African language, and one important European language. So the European language, it's English. And I'm looking to pick up Portuguese.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking to pick up Swahili, because I think that's a very important language for Africa, for East Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa.
Yeah.
And then Japanese is my Asian language. To be fair, I should actually replace Japanese with Chinese because of China's dominance in the world right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, when I took Chinese in high school, I didn't enjoy it much. It's very hard. It's very tonal language. And it's very easy to make mistakes. Whereas in Japanese, it's a very phonetic language. So what you see and read is how you say it. There's no trick to it,
So then, okay, so then, because my question was, did you speak Japanese prior? Then you can say, yes, you did. And many others, like, yes, Japanese,
just a teaspoon's worth of Japanese. Not much. I mean, to be fair, when I got here, I was very confused. But after 4 months, I started getting a hang of it very quickly.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months, I actually had to go back to South Africa to renew my driver's license, so I could convert my driver's license, or my IDP, or International Driver's Permit, to my Japanese license. And when I got back to Japan, I was at the airport, and one of the staff was like, "Hey man, why do you speak Japanese?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I just study every day. And it's like, "Really? I thought you married to a Japanese woman." I was like, "No, I'm not married." I'm not married. No one's teaching me. I'm just, teaching myself. And so after 6 months, people started saying, "Hey, it's really incredible that you're learning so quickly." But I wasn't comfortable at that phase. So I would say I took about 18 months to really be comfortable speaking and understanding Japanese.
Wow. Okay, so my third question then is, because you said no one's teaching you, right? Apart being in Japan, no one's teaching you. But before, when you were in school, so you took it as like an elective in your high school lessons, or like in university. So you actually had formal. Oh no.
No. I actually applied for the scholarship to study in Tokyo at Rikyo University. And I actually got interviewed so I was going to study an MBA, Masters in International Business. And I actually got interviewed by, I think it was like the dean and 2 other guys. I don't know what position they hold in that department. And, it seemed promising that I would be going there to study. But then also the JET program was like, "Hey, you're accepted." So, I could choose. And I knew I'd be coming to Japan. So that's actually when I started. I think I started 3 months prior to coming to Japan, because I knew, okay, I'm actually going to live here. So I might as well start learning the language, because I don't want to get there and be completely clueless.
Wow, because I did it. So a lot of people don't know that we've met before, and so we have a budding friendship. But I didn't know that you wanted to pursue an MBA in Japan before even the JET program. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, things have changed now. Life is full of surprises like that. So I'm not complaining with what I'm doing and where I am. So I feel fortunate. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So when you were studying by yourself, and even now that you're studying by yourself, what resources do you use? Do you buy books, or do you just on Instagram, on YouTube, or like like to actually like study properly? What resources do you use?
So anyone watching this right now, I assume, is watching on a smartphone, and your smartphone is actually very smart, and your smartphone should contribute to your knowledge and your smartness. It shouldn't be dumbing you down. So I use my smartphone to study. I have a lot of apps on there. There's a plethora of apps on app stores for learning any language you want to learn. So there's really no excuse in this day and age. The apps are free. Some of them you do pay for a little bit, like Wanikani. Perfect for learning kanji if you want to like polish your kanji skills. So yeah, apps. While I'm cycling and driving, podcasts. While I'm drawing and painting as well, I listen to podcasts, Japanese podcasts. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just podcasts and apps.
So you use like Duolingo, because I have Duolingo as well. But the thing is, Duolingo is very, very elementary. But I guess when you're starting, that's helpful, right? Duolingo will be like, kore densha desu, watashi wa onaka suita desu, you know, whatever. So do you use Duolingo, or is that too elementary?
No, so I'm very weird when I learn a language. I focus on vocabulary first, because vocabulary is the building block of the language. Because if you know grammar but your vocab is limited, then you can't really talk on a range of different subjects, and you can't really express yourself. So I always stress on vocab. I think personally that's the most important thing when it comes to language, because if you don't understand grammar but you know vocab, you can still get your point across. So my formula with Japanese was every day for 3 hours just vocab. So I have an app called Minna. Minna. Yeah. And
Minna
it just has Minna as in like everyone.
Yeah.
And I paid like 400 yen for it. It's very affordable. It's like 60 rands. Yes, 60 rands in South African rands. So yeah, it split the different JLPTN vocabs. So there's N1 vocab, N2 vocab. Well, there's no N1, sorry. There's N2, 3, 4, 5 vocab. So I would just like open the app every day and just write every single word on that app. Every single word. And then after that, just do a quiz. So it has a bunch of quizzes that you can do. And then, yeah, that's how I learned. It was just through doing vocab on apps. So right now I'm actually focusing a lot on kanji, and there's a textbook I'm using called Essential Kanji. So it's very helpful, but you don't need that. I would recommend Wanikani. That's actually a brilliant app for learning.
Let me write it. Wait, so is Wanikani an app?
Yeah.
Wanikani. Okay. App.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a crocodile. Wani means crocodile in Japanese. So
I guess our formulas for learning are vastly different, and I mean yours is working because obviously you are much more fluent, and that's great. Well, I guess I need to, because for me, let's say when I'm at work and I have a bit of downtime, I do study vocabulary, but the way I study vocabulary maybe is not, it is efficient, it is conducive, but maybe not as fast-paced and not as rigorous as maybe your right? So for example, at work I will just like search like 2020 most used Japanese words, for example, and I just like put the romaji and the kanji and the English against each other, and then just repeat that to myself every single day. But I guess also writing it down like helps and has helped for you, right?
Writing it down helps me, and that's just with anything really. In high school I would always write, whether it be English or math or science. I just write things out because I retain information better when I write it. When I write it out and write it out and write it out. And then just keep quizzing. Every day you need to keep practicing. You shouldn't really slack. I mean, don't be too hard on yourself, and start easy. Start with the basics. Because right now my formula is so on Mondays I do medical vocab. On Tuesdays I do political and legal vocab. On Wednesdays. So I split it up into sections of things I'm interested in. So I'm interested in medicine. I like politics. I like law as well. So I just teach myself vocab in all these fields, and that's why in Japan right now, a lot of my friends are actually doctors, which is weird. I don't look for them, but I just meet them in the most random way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I've befriended dentists, a neurologist, an anesthetist, ophthalmologists, and again, I don't look for these people. I just happen to meet them, and then I talk to them in Japanese and use medical vocab. They're like, "Oh my goodness, I know that." No, I actually have an interest in medicine, so that's why I'm studying this right now.
So talking on relationships and talking about the fact that you now most of your Japanese friends are in a certain field that you're interested in, I think, do you then think that to be able to cultivate those relationships, you need, right, like capital letters, you need to be able to converse, you need to be able to have a little bit of Japanese, because so do you think English will not cut it at all?
Not at all. I mean, usually, again, these doctors that I know, a lot of them are bilingual or multilingual, and I think that's actually a prerequisite. I could be wrong, but I think that's a prerequisite right now. Med school in Japan is you need to know English. Yeah, but people are forgiving in Japan.
Yeah.
They understand and know that you are not Japanese. You did not grow up in Japan, and it's not your home language. So you are allowed to make mistakes. But if you try and you show that you are trying, then they very much are willing to talk to you and get to know you. I think what matters most is just your personality and your willingness to learn from them. And then, yeah, people will be very patient with you. So I don't think you need, in the literal, like, I need this, all this Japanese in my head. No, you don't need. But yeah, I think a little bit of Japanese can go a long way. And I think that's any language, really.
Right, yeah.
When I was young, I actually had the honor of meeting a very influential man. And he told me, like, when you actually talk to people in their home language, it really goes to their heart. Like, it really, really goes to their heart. And you can make mistakes, that's fine, but they can see your sincerity. They can see that you're trying.
Right.
So they're very willing to get to know you if you approach them with that kind of attitude.
I see. Okay. So, all right. So then let's in terms of learning, and because you said you dedicate maybe like every Monday like 3 hours or so, do you actually stick to those programs, or do you sometimes like take a day off, or do you sometimes have no motivation? So how do you keep motivated?
Yeah, that's actually a very important question. So motivation does not cut it not just with learning Japanese, but with anything in life. I think it's discipline that cuts it. Because I'm not motivated every day. There are days that I just do not want to do something.
Yeah.
But, the discipline kicks in, and I think about why I have to do it and what the benefit is of doing this thing right now. So I would like to be here long term. I don't know how long term is. And that's my motivation. Because if I want to live here long term, I need to be able to talk to people here. I need to be able to communicate here.
Yeah.
Think of it this way, right? If you're living in Japan and you don't speak any Japanese, then it's sort of like someone that can't talk. Right? How do you talk to someone that can't talk? That person can't talk to you. They can't express their ideas, how they feel. Right? So that's my motivation, really, is that I would like to be here long term. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the important thing with learning Japanese as well. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult language.
Yes.
So if you want to be here long term, just do it. Just learn the language. Discipline yourself to learn the language. But if you're only going to be here for like a year, and if you're going to live in Tokyo like you are, then it's okay. You can get by. You don't really need to give yourself the headache of learning and working on it every single day. A little bit, is fine. But yeah, I want to be here long term. So that's really the reason why I'm putting in all this time.
What I have noticed, touching on your point when you said that if you like maybe you don't really have to learn it too much, is because sometimes if you are living in Tokyo and you come with that mindset like I don't need English because there's so many international people, blah blah blah, it really does limit you. It really does, and I've seen it in my own life as well. And so that's why I'm kind of being more proactive with maybe at a later, but like for example, you can only speak to like customer service people, right? that's like you're only limited to those people, and you're only limited to a certain type of people, or you're only limited to only like certain like words or certain time only. Maybe you can only speak to someone for like 2 minutes only, and that's it. Maybe let's say how you touch on a
Yes.
subject and you want to go
Yes.
further, but because your vocab ends just there, then you have to cut it short. And I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
hey, oh man. So it really does limit you, as much as people would think that living in Tokyo is, you know, you are at a better place or better positioned, but it really does limit you. And sometimes those limitations are not, it's not nice. It's not
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you don't want to be. You're a grown woman. You know, I'm sure you don't want to be handheld every way and have someone translate everything for you and be using dictionaries or translation apps all the time. It's an inconvenience. It's a headache, and you shouldn't be having someone hold your hand to every little thing. So yeah, just learn the vocab. You know, just learn the language. And yes, Tokyo it's a global city, but people still speak Japanese. Like Japanese is still the language of instruction everywhere in Tokyo.
Yeah.
But it's still in Japan. Like just because it's Tokyo, it doesn't mean it's an American city. It's still a very Japanese city. It's still very Japanese. You know, people still wear kimono. You'll still see like temples.
Yep.
So, and people, I realize with Japanese people is they take pride in their country. They take pride in their culture. They take pride in their language. Like I met Japanese people who can speak English, but when they find out that I speak Japanese, they just don't really speak English.
They don't.
And I was like, wow. They're like, it's you speak Japanese, so that's good enough for us.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should practice Japanese. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't mind practicing.
Yeah.
But I just find that interesting that like Japanese people that can speak English, not all, of course, but a lot of the time, if they find out that you can speak Japanese, then they'd rather just stick to Japanese.
So in your in your life and in your daily life, who do you associate, or maybe who do you dedicate your in terms of language learning and just maybe your time? So do you spend a lot of time with like the foreign community in Wakayama Prefecture, or do you spend a lot of time with Japanese people, or is it like half equally, you know, distributed? Also with your goals in mind, right? Because you need to be perfect and you need to be doing this, like it's like a spinning wheel, right? But then it's like, okay, I need to do this until I get to a certain point. So in my daily life, then who do I, you know? Yeah,
I have a mix. A lot of my friends are, a lot of people I interact with are Japanese actually. So Wakayama Prefecture is, so the entire Wakayama Prefecture population is 900,000. It's just under 1 million. That's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? And within that number, a lot of them are elderly people or very young. And most elderly people just do not speak English. Most young children also do not speak English. So depending on where you are in Japan, you will be forced to learn Japanese. It's sort of like you need it for survival.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you know when you're in that mindset and you need it for survival, naturally you just start getting to know people because the speed at which you learn and understand the language shoots up rapidly. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of my friends here are Japanese, but I do hang out with people from various countries.
Okay.
It's a mix. Yeah.
All right.
So I'd say 65% Japanese and 35% foreign.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So could you give us your tried and tested, like maybe like quick fire, like do this, do this, do this, do this. Tried and tested, like you've tried it and you've tested it and it works and it has gotten you to this point right now. Like maybe 5 or 4 methods, like tried and tested that you have. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so I just first disclaimer, I'm not fluent. You know, like I can't go to the Prime Minister right now and have a very deep conversation with him about politics. I can converse with him a bit about politics, but it wouldn't be, I can't give him like a crazy speech. So I'm not fluent. I'm not N1 level kind of fluent.
Oh really? Wait, so in to the people watching and
oh,
so
sorry.
sometimes when you come to Japan, you have like levels. So like N5,
Yeah,
N4, N3, N2, N1. N5 is basically like elementary kids like watashi wa, you know, and then N4 it's much better then and then N1 is native level. So you can converse in
yeah,
much more complex situations and express yourself in much more complexities, right? So
yeah.
which level are you at right now?
I'm on N2 right now.
In two, okay. So
Yeah,
close to close to me.
yeah, yeah. I need to keep working a bit harder. But you know, the JLPT is in a sense a bit deceptive because it focuses heavily on listening and reading and understanding kanji from my perspective. So a lot of companies in Japan don't even know what the JLPT is.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah, they
Japanese
don't know
people
what it is.
don't know what that is.
They don't know what it is. So you find that a lot of people from China, because I actually I had an interview 3 months ago, and so one of the ladies at the company was like, "Hey, so do you speak Japanese?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Right, perfect." I
Yeah.
was like, "Do you want to know what JLPT I'm on?" She's like, "No, we don't care about that because a lot of people in Japan, a lot of Chinese people in Japan, have N1 level, right?
Mm.
But they can't really talk Japanese. The
Mm.
grammar is not on point, the pronunciation is not good, but they can read and write the kanji, and that's because kanji is derived from Chinese
Yeah.
language. So
Yeah.
JLPT is in a way very, very deceptive. I would say that you shouldn't solely base your knowledge of Japanese on how good you score on the JLPT. I've met lots of people who did not take the JLPT. They have very high paying jobs. They speak very good Japanese. They read and write Japanese. So yeah, you don't really need it all that much. But you know, if you do have N2 or N1, then yeah, it does show that you understand quite a bit. Quite a lot, actually. Yeah.
Then how will you base your level of understanding and your level of fluency? If it's not if you don't think that the JLPT is a good like measurement for fluency, then what's your measurement? What's your criteria to know that
I mean, yeah. Well, can you live here every single day and not be stuck in situations? I think for me that's a good measure of fluency. You know, can you go to any store and just order something on the menu very easily? You know, can you just speak to a doctor about anything and everything? Well, not everything, obviously, because you probably don't even know medical vocab in English as well. But you get my point, right? So, can you survive well? I think that's just a good measure of fluency. Can you survive well in the country? Because the JLPT is a piece of paper. Think of it as like design, right? Graphic design. I'll give you an example. There are a lot of graphic designers that did not attend design university. They didn't graduate from a design college, but they're very good because they taught themselves Adobe software, or they taught themselves how to be good design, and they get paid very well, and they do really good work. So at the end of the day, something like the JLPT is essentially just a piece of paper, sort of like a degree in certain fields. It's just a piece of paper. I don't think you should base your knowledge on a piece of paper.
Okay. So wait. So you said that if so your judgment of how fluent you are or how able you are to live in Japan is if you can just go about every single day without any assistance. So how about if I go about every single day and I go about having my smartphone with my Google Translate? So to you, that's
out. Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's out.
but I mean, I'm getting it done. I'm committed.
Yeah, no, it's good. You know, look, I'm not knocking the JLPT. It's very important. You know, I'm just saying, like, people stress so much importance on it. Right? It's not that big, but it is important. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you do get an N2, N1, N3, it does show a good level of understanding.
Yeah.
But there are people who get these good scores, but they can't really speak well, or their grammar is not really great. you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
next question. So maybe let's just segue into like so. What I sometimes find is that a lot of people, a lot of like international people, a lot of expats rather, who come to Japan, usually have initial interest or initial motivation onto coming to Japan. So like, for example, I'm just generalizing, right? Like people are into manga. So when they're into manga, they're into anime, then they come to Japan and then they like learn it coming from there. So what I want to ask is, are you into manga as well? Are you into anime, or do you? Yeah, me neither. Oh my gosh, like what?
No.
Like, if you are,
Yeah.
if you are and watching, I mean that's cool. That's okay.
Yeah.
But are you into manga, into anime, into No, never been.
I think the only anime I watched was Dragon Ball Z when I was young. It was very cool. But besides that, I've only watched cartoons, Western cartoons, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. Yeah, but I've never been into manga. Never been into anime.
Yeah,
Those aren't the reasons why I'm here.
yeah. No, neither have I. Okay, so all right, so you have different interests than you. So like your interests are politics and all of those other things, except like the usual anime and Harajuku fashion and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you had different motivations to come
Oh,
to
yeah.
Japan and learn and live. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that stuff is cool. I'm not knocking it, and I want the viewers to know that as well. Like, Precious and I aren't saying that those things are bad or they're uncool. They're still cool. It's just not for us. We are interested in different things. Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, I'm also like interested in other like Japanese aspects, and maybe I'm not interested in it enough to kind of want to learn the vocabulary associated or like the jargon associated with that industry. For example, for you, you are really interested in politics, so you learn the vocabulary like regarding politics. You're really interested in like drawing or artists or like all that stuff, and
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? If depending on what you want to do in Japan, first get the basics down. Of course, it's Japanese language. Get the basics down, and then focus on vocab for your industry. It makes no sense to learn medical vocab if you want to be a fashion designer. Learn fashion design vocab, and then once you've learned all of that, then you can move on to other types of vocab. But learn things that will help you in your industry, and that'll help you meet the relevant people in your industry. Once you've gotten the basics down, right? You don't have to know every single word, and no one knows everything. I don't know everything. I don't even know everything in English, right? I don't know everything in Sepedi.
Yeah.
Right? So know about what interests you, and craft your like language ability to what interests you. Yeah.
So okay, so this is maybe a little bit interesting. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 skills of language, right? 4 skills of language. So reading, listening, writing, and speaking, right? So all of these things regarding Japanese, which one is your most interesting? The one that you find most fun? Reading, writing, listening, or speaking Japanese?
Well, it's a bit hard. I like all of them, but right now I'm actually, for some very odd reason, I'm very interested in writing difficult kanji. I don't know. I find it to be so cool.
It's beautiful, right?
It's really cool, and it's a nice challenge. Solely because a lot of young Japanese people, their kanji is not. It's kind of getting deplorable these days. And I don't knock them. It's because of smartphones. Smartphones and computers make it easy. So people are kind of losing that ability to be able to write kanji. And certain kanji is just getting erased because it's too difficult or too long to write. It takes too much time to write. So I'm currently very interested in writing difficult kanji. I don't know why, and I don't need it. No one needs to learn difficult kanji, to be honest. No one uses difficult kanji in this day and age in Japan.
So I have a question from one of the people watching. So let me just repeat my question, right? Sorry, guys, the sweat is just dripping.
Can I see these questions, or am I not allowed?
So I think I am seeing them because I'm the host. Wait. So someone, so I asked Lebo, because when you're learning a language, there are four like
Yes.
aspects, four elements in any language. It's the reading,
Yes.
the writing, speaking, and the listening. Right. So I asked
Yes. Yes.
Lebo, what's your favorite, and which one do you enjoy the most out of these? And you said writing kanji. Can you explain what writing kanji is to people? They don't understand what's kanji.
Oh, okay. So Japanese language has three writing systems. It's katakana, hiragana, katakana, and kanji.
Yes.
And, hiragana and katakana are exclusively Japanese. And then kanji is actually derived from Chinese. And hiragana was actually initially made for women and children because kanji was just reserved for men because it was a bit too hard. Yeah, so kanji is, think of it as like difficult Japanese.
So basically, it's
when
like
you read a Japanese sentence, sorry?
It's like the way they write, their language, like a writing system.
Yeah. So hiragana and katakana are like that's a set of characters, and kanji is also characters. So to be able to like read a newspaper in Japan, you need to like daily use kanji. It's called Joyo kanji.
Mm-hmm.
That is like 2,000 kanji. So if you know these 2,000 kanji, then you can comfortably live and survive in Japan. Read a Japanese newspaper.
Can you read a Japanese newspaper?
Not fully. I don't know a lot of kanji. I only know like
Lebo,
I can read a bit of a newspaper. Yeah.
Don't downplay yourself. Can you read Japanese newspapers?
No, not an entire newspaper article. I still struggle. Like I'm still learning. But I have a friend here who actually learned kanji very quickly. He learned a lot of kanji, like 1,800 kanji in 2 years, 2.5 years.
By himself or at a school?
No, by himself.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So
very doable. So the textbook I'm using right now, Essential Kanji. I do 8 kanji a day. So that's my formula. It's 8 kanji a day. It's not too much, but if you actually, compound that, it's a lot of kanji in a couple of months' time.
It's a lot of kanji. It's a lot.
It's a lot of kanji, and that's how I learned a lot of kanji I know right now. So I just do 8 kanji a day.
That's really, so people are saying that's impressive. Like that is
no, but it's doable. Like people can also do it. Right?
It's definitely doable with discipline and motivation and knowing why you're doing it. And if you have a goal, I feel like everything is definitely doable, definitely achievable, right? Even if you do it by yourself, because there's so many resources. Like there's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's books that you can buy, and sometimes you don't really need to go to a school and spend lots and lots of money for someone teaching you, right? You can just do it by yourself, right?
And just ask people to teach you as well. Like ask your friends to correct you. I always ask my Japanese friends, like, hey, this is what I wrote here. Does this make sense to you? Like, no, this should be, that should be. Okay. So be humble enough to be teachable. Be very teachable. Because if you're not teachable, then you're going to keep making mistakes and think you're right, but you're actually like making mistakes every day. So be willing to learn and be teachable. Because it's a very difficult language.
I love that. I love the fact that you said you must be willing to be teachable because as much as you know, whatever you do know, as much as you can be confident, because I mean, obviously, if you can kind of go about your day, you kind of you do know a certain level of something. So that kind of some confidence, but also being able to humble yourself and be like, okay, listen, I need to get here. I'm here, but I need to get here. So I need to be able to take constructive criticism, even if it's not constructive. Like, I need to be, So I like the fact that you said people must be teachable every single day. I like that.
Yes.
Put it on a t-shirt. Okay, so I have a question. Put on a t-shirt. Wait, I have a question.
I'll buy that t-shirt.
Also, are there programs available for foreigners to learn that you know of?
To learn Japanese?
Yeah.
I don't know them personally, but I'm sure they are.
So like
language school? Is that what the person is asking?
Yeah, I think
like
the person
language
is asking maybe program. So like maybe, I guess if it's a program, maybe like a course, maybe like an actual paid thing. I guess like a school. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are here in Japan. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of language schools. You can learn online as well. Like the internet is your friend, guys. Your phone is very smart. I said this earlier. Use your smartphone.
Yeah.
It's a very smart device, and it should contribute to your knowledge. It shouldn't dumb you down. So use your smartphone. I promise you, you will find just a wealth of resources.
So I have a question. We all know of the current news. We all know what's happening right now, and with the whole assassination of former President Shinzo Abe, which is shocking. Ultimately, like it's really shocking. So, you mentioned that you were listening to the live report, the news live report, right? So, were you listening to that in Japanese only, no subtitles, and could you understand what they were saying?
Oh yeah, I understood. I was watching on NHK. So NHK for South African viewers, NHK is like the SABC equivalent of Japan. Yeah, it's the main broadcasting channel station.
Yeah.
So I was watching on NHK on my TV. Yeah, I understood what was being said, and it was very sad. It was very sad and shocking event actually, because Japan has extremely tight gun laws, and it's very safe here as well. And no one really expected. That's why it shocked people, because things like this just don't happen in Japan. Like political violence doesn't happen. If it does happen, it's very rare. I think one of the last cases of political violence was in the 70s. And gun violence just does not happen. That's just not a thing. You can't own a handgun in Japan. You can own a rifle, but it's you have to go through very rigorous tests to get a license for owning a rifle. And the assassin he actually made the gun himself.
That was crazy. That was I was mind boggled. It's like in a country where it's peaceful. Well, I mean, but I mean,
still is peaceful.
For someone to actually plan something and make it in their own homes and successfully execute an assassination, that was just crazy. But
and I think that's the wake up call, is that we are so relaxed here, right? Because some people are like, the security it was a security flaw, etc. I'm like, no, we can't really fault the security, because security in Japan, like personal security, is not trained to deal with such situations.
Yes.
No one expects guns in Japan. Security is not trained for that situation. And also, ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe-san, he's not Prime Minister anymore. He wasn't Prime Minister when he got assassinated. So he didn't have the full security that Prime Minister Kishida has.
Yeah.
Right? So less security, and that small amount of security also just probably untrained to deal with such a situation. Yeah. This is just something you wouldn't expect to happen in Japan.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it is very crazy that it did happen. And that's the wake-up call, is that these things can happen. We're not immune from crime. We're not immune from gun violence.
And that you really people do say Japan is safe, Japan is this, it's amazing, it's peaceful. But what I got is that you can't be too relaxed. Like, sure, at home you do expect to be mugged, you do expect to, fine, sharp, and here you don't. But it's like, you really cannot be too relaxed. Like, people go through mental issues are a thing here in Japan, and you can't spot them on people. But anyway, so my question related to that was, could you listen to the news in Japanese, and could you understand everything that they were saying in Japanese easily?
Yes, I got a good understanding of what was being said.
Yeah.
And
all right.
I could read as well.
Okay.
Because with the news, so where I live in Japan, so Japan is split into 47 prefectures and like 8 districts, like 8 major districts. So there's Kanto, there's Tohoku, there's Chubu, Kansai, Chugoku, Shikoku, Hokkaido, and Kyushu. So I'm in Kansai, and we have our own like dialect here, Kansai dialect. And so news or standardized Japanese is Kanto Japanese. That's like Tokyo.
Yeah.
Hojunbo is that's the standardized Japanese, and that's a little bit hard to understand because it's very formal. It's like super formal.
Oh.
And yeah. So sometimes when I watch the news, I don't understand every single thing because I'm exposed to Kansai dialect every day, and it's just so relaxed. Like it's a dumbed down version.
Is it?
It's all Japanese. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's very fun, So like I don't know. I'll give you an example. Like in standardized Japanese, if you ask them, like how much is something, right? You're like, ikura desu ka? Kore wa ikura desu ka?
Yes.
Yeah. But then here in Kansai, you'd say nambo desu ka? It's completely different, right?
Yeah.
So in if you want to say like that's good, like ine. But here in Kansai, we say eya. Sounds completely different.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes when Kansai people talk to Kanto people think Kansai people are a little bit rude because they're using like rude Japanese. It's a bit funny. I don't know. But it's still Japanese at the end of the day. Like native speakers here in Kansai, of course, they understand Kanto Japanese. Yeah, I'm not native, so that's why it'll take a little bit longer to fully grasp it. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for answering that question, and thank you also for answering my little segue unrelated question. So, what tips or advice do you have for anyone at home tuning in right now or going to watch it later on? What tips or advice do you have for anyone looking to move abroad or anywhere in the world in terms of language? And also, I know that you said that it differs in terms of the length that you're looking to move, right? So if you're looking to stay there forever, your tips and advice is going to be different versus a person who just wants to live there for 1 or 2 or 3 years. But what would you say? Any tips or advice?
I would say learn the basics, of course. If you're going to be there for 3 months or 3 years, learn the basics. It'll help. And it'll really enhance your experience. So if, again, going back to that example, if you don't at least know the basics, then you can't talk, right? And no one can really talk to you. And you're going to think, oh man, this place is horrible. People are unfriendly, they're unwelcoming. But it's you that can't communicate, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would you feel if a Japanese person went to KZN and then got angry that no one understands Japanese? Zulu people are going to be like, bro, you don't Zulu.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? So just learn the language. Just do it. It's the basics aren't that hard. Just learn the basics at the very least. And I promise it will enhance your experience. And people will be so much friendlier and much more welcome to you. And focus, again, when it comes to learning a language, you mentioned the 4 things. So focus on listening first. Listening is actually the easiest. And then speaking is ranked second on that list. And then reading and then writing. Writing is very difficult. Writing Japanese is very difficult. Very difficult. Reading can be difficult as well. Speaking, it's okay. And then listening
is fun. I think for me, speaking is really fun. And I mean, my Japanese is like maybe in 5-ish, in 4 on a good day. On a good day, it's like in 4 Ghana. But I really do enjoy speaking. And I don't know, maybe I don't really care too much about the reading and writing. Maybe it's because of my timeline as well. Like I'm not looking to be here long term versus you where you have different goals, different priorities. So obviously you're going to work towards making your life much, much easier, right? In the long term. So for me, for the time being, I'm just like, I'm enjoying, out of the 4, I really like speaking. And also listening is quite fun, I might say. Like listening is quite fun. So for me, speaking and listening, I mean, speaking is like putting things together. It's like, you can understand me? Let's go, So I really do think that timeline is a factor as well. Like how long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it doesn't make sense to be studying 3 hours a day every day if you're only going to be here for a month.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather say, I'd say, yeah, maybe do 30 minutes a day instead, and then spend the rest of that time just enjoying the country.
Yeah.
Like
So,
30 minutes a day of studying makes a massive difference.
so,
Yeah,
so you are currently in the JET program right now, right?
yeah, yes.
So, have you looked into maybe taking translation things? Because usually with foreigners, these are like the most famous jobs when people transition after they've acquired like business level skills, after they've acquired a lot of vocabulary, a lot of understanding, a lot of fluency as well. They usually tend to leave the JET program, and then if they want to stay in Japan like you do, they leave the JET program and then transition into like corporate world and work sector, and then work in translation or for manga and things like that. So what does your transition look like from the JET program? If you're okay with sharing that.
I can share a little bit. I can't share everything, but I'll share a little bit. Yeah, so I actually draw and sell art, and it's something I've been doing for quite a while in my life. So that's something I'm looking to do, or go into UI UX design, because there's actually a shortage of that in Japan.
Yeah.
So if you have those skills and that knowledge, and you have Japanese on top of that, yeah, it pays really well. It pays really, really well. So yeah, I have no interest in doing translation jobs, or I mean, I've been doing translation jobs for my ophthalmologist, been helping him with, and that's been a very good way to learn about eyes. So random, I know, like eye surgery. I know so much about eye surgery in Japanese. It's so random, but yeah, I've been doing so much of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, it's not really something I'd want to do, you know, for life. I really love drawing. I love creating. So I want to go into that sector.
So, you mentioned that you love drawings. Someone mentioned a comment that the artwork behind you is really, really beautiful. So,
thank you.
Because on my channel, I like to plug people and what they're doing in their YouTube channel, their businesses, and all that stuff. So, can you tell people where, if you're comfortable with that as well, where they can find your artwork, your business, how they can support you?
Yes. Firstly, this is not my artwork. I own it, but I didn't paint it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I bought it from a Zimbabwean artist, and I really like it. So yeah, I have a bunch of artworks in here. I collect arts. Been collecting since I was 21, so, and I'm very fortunate to collect art at this young age. But yeah, my online presence is Instagram. I haven't shared anything in almost a year, so don't expect to see anything new, but there is a lot of stuff on there still. So yeah, my Instagram is lebs_study. Maybe Precious will write that down, I think.
Let me do it now. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's, yeah, she'll link it. That's pretty much it. I'm actually not really on social media. Otherwise, you can just send me an email if you want to get in touch. info@lebotladi.com. Yeah, LinkedIn, but I'm not really active on there. So yeah, just email me. That's the best way to get in touch. Or DM on Instagram.
Study.com. Okay, and we have a question. I have a question. Someone said, I don't know if you know them. If you know them personally, please send them a shout out.
Okay.
Okay, Kwa. Do you know? Okay, Kwa.
Hey, yeah, I know Cornele.
Oh, Cornela. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, Cornela. So, don't. No. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, Kwa says, how is Lebo so effortlessly cool? Can you answer that for us?
Oh man. Yo, I cannot answer that question. Sorry, Kwa.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that one has no answer. That question has no answer.
All right. So a lot of people said that thank you so much for sharing the apps that you use. So I will kind of like gather them and then write them down when I do post this live on my Oh yeah.
One more important app, Takobeto.
Okay, so let me write them in the comments for people
Takobeto.
to see. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm so
that's for
sorry.
Japanese word.
Just to jog your memory. So the apps are Tako.
Boto. Takobeto.
So can you spell it
Tako
for
as in like octopus.
me?
Takoboto.
Yeah. Boto. Takoboto.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's Wani Kani.
And Wani Kani. Okay.
And then there's Minna. Minna.
Okay. And is that it?
And then yeah, there's a bunch of like podcasts as well. So all the stuff I'm sharing is for Japanese.
Yeah.
I know this was or this discussions about learning language. So I can't give advice on how to study Spanish.
Of course.
How
Yeah.
to study. Yeah. So these apps are for if you want to learn Japanese, and this is what I recommend.
Okay, all right. So, if you have anything to say offline, maybe just send me a DM and then I can just like compile a list. But I will also just share my own. So, one last thing, okay?
Yes.
Can you please, Jigo Shokai, onegaishimasu, onegaishimasu, onegaishimasu.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Wait, before we do Jiko Shokai, does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, okay. Does anyone have any other questions, guys? Please write them in the comments and then I will ask to Lebo as well. Is there like a place where I can make it? I don't know. How do I do that?
How do you do what?
Okay, no. All right. So if you guys have any questions,
I have to quickly extend my Instagram timer because.
Oh, I had that. There's a question here. Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I think I told you. So my apps, I have timers on certain apps so that I don't use certain amounts in a day.
I do too.
I've used all my Instagram for the day. On my Instagram time.
I have that as well. Where I have yeah. So like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I have a timer for that as well. Where like it for the day it cuts off. I have the same thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Kotomania here. Koto says, have you guys had any negative experiences in Japan due to your skin color and coming from Africa instead of America? Ooh, okay.
Me personally, no. Yeah. So there's this thing like people say, oh, when you get on the train, people don't want to sit next to you. People move away. That's never happened to me.
Really? Really?
That's never happened to me. If anything, there'll be an open seat, and then a lady will just come sit next to me. And I'm like, okay, there's like an open seat right there. So yeah, I've never had that experience, and I find that when I tell people I'm from South Africa, they actually get really interested. They're like, oh my goodness, that's such a cool country. People in Japan think highly of South Africans.
You think so?
In my experience, yeah. So my ophthalmologist friend, when he first met me, he's like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "From South Africa," and he's like, "Oh my goodness, that's so cool." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, why is that cool?" He's like, and he said this, like, I don't think of South Africa as part of Africa because he says there's so much wealth in South Africa. Like there's a high concentration of wealth. He is aware though that there's a massive gap between rich and poor.
Sure.
But he's aware of the infrastructure in South Africa. He's aware of what South Africa has contributed to the world and society.
Sure.
So yeah, the people I've met are usually very interested and want to know more about South Africa. And I personally haven't had like negative experiences due to skin color. Yeah.
I think for me, because it's so weird because a lot of expats have this it's either very good or very bad, and sometimes there's no middle ground, right? So some people literally sometimes they literally just go to either extremes. And I think for me, having been here, having also lived in Tokyo, is that sure, there is a large international community, so you would expect that people are kind of used to seeing people of different skin tones, used to, like, it's normal. It's normal. And so I think for me, I haven't really had a bad experience. Maybe because I live in my own world. I don't know. I think I'm very different from you, where I think Japan is very suitable for my personality. Like I think it complements my personality. So you are very outgoing, right? You will talk to people. You will be like, hey, everybody, woo, let's start a party, whatever. I am like, okay, if you like, I'm like with myself. So like, I will only talk to a person if they talk to me. And I find that Japan really complements my personality. It complements me. So I haven't really had a problem. However, I have experienced the whole like a person not sitting next to me on the train. I have, but it doesn't make me feel any type of way. I don't have any sort of emotional reaction towards it, you know. Like I don't associate any. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think, oh, they're so racist. I don't, because maybe to me it doesn't mean anything. I think it just depends on the person's outlook and how they receive certain things. It really depends on outlook. It really does. So for me, it has happened where a person will not sit next to me, and I don't take it to heart. But other people will go on Reddit and be like, "Oh my gosh, they don't want to sit next to me. They don't like me." I'm like, guys, it is what. Just let it go. It is what it is, right? And but I did have a little bit of an what is that? An uncomfortable experience. I think it was my first 6 months here, and it was a little bit weird. So it was not in Tokyo, but it was like maybe 2 hours away from Tokyo, because I feel like maybe the further you go from Tokyo, maybe the less used to foreigners people could be. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. But again, you know, if you speak Japanese, it completely changes the experience. You know, people actually get confused.
They do.
I've had lots of little children. I've had lots of little children asking me, like, they'd be so confused. They look at me like this because I'll be talking to them, or maybe to their parents, right? And they look at me confused, like, "Where are you from?" Like, "I'm from South Africa." Like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Why do you speak Japanese?" I'm like, I study, but it really confuses children. And it confuses people in the inaka as well when you speak to them in Japanese. Good, decent Japanese.
I just want to also touch on the point that you made in terms of experiences and people and how people receive you, and the fact that you mentioned that you're from South Africa. So this like I built a relationship with one of my, not my teachers. I don't work with this person at all, but people know Nelson Mandela. Like people know. So that's like a conversation starter as well, even with my limited Japanese. But this crazy thing happened where I was washing my hands in like a public bathroom, right? Close to my workplace. And this elderly woman asked me where I am from. And I said, South Africa. And she's like, "Oh, diamonds." I'm like, "Girl, the diamondi. We see the diamondi. Oh my gosh." And then that was just so coincidental, was amazing. And so I feel like from that little conversation, from that little interaction, right?
I just like, I hear you now. Sorry, can you please repeat that? From that little interaction.
So from that little interaction, sometimes friendships grow, and sometimes they also form a first impression. Even if they know your country is famous for XYZ, but that first interaction with a person who actually is from there and is not white, that forms a first impression. And so I feel like sometimes a lot of people come with this paranoia, right? A lot of people are sometimes paranoid, and a lot of people also internalize other people's experiences, and I get it. I get it. But I think that's the danger. That's where what the danger is? That's where the danger is, where people really internalize people's experiences, and I feel like that's you are really doing yourself a disservice, right?
Yeah, yes.
And to answer this question, where this person said, oh, there's another question, sorry, but to answer this person's question where he said, do you have a different experience because you're black from Africa versus America? I mean,
Okay.
yeah. Um,
I've
personally,
never given that thought. But no, so what I find in Japan is that you're either Japanese or you're not Japanese.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just really it. So it doesn't matter if you're from Europe, it doesn't matter if you're from North, South America, it doesn't matter if you're from Africa, it doesn't even matter if you're from Southeast Asia. It's you're either Japanese or you're not Japanese.
Or you're not.
So that's yeah. So that's the distinction here. And then whatever you are, that's all minor. You know, whether you are Serbian or Russian, that's irrelevant to Japanese. Whether you are Black American, or sorry, African American, or African, that's kind of irrelevant to Japanese. The first thing they think is not Japanese, gaikokuji,
Yeah,
foreign
yeah.
person, outside person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nihonjin, gaikokujin, kind of thing. Yeah. So, I don't really think there's that people. I don't think they think about that really. Japanese people. I've never been asked, about America. Once I've told someone I'm not.
But also, just because someone doesn't ask you doesn't mean they don't think about it. But then,
yeah,
that's
true.
Yeah, but then there is no way to know if they don't ask you. So I can understand why you think that. But what I am saying is that just because sometimes it's not verbalized doesn't mean it's not there. So yeah.
Yes.
I have another question from another person. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. Thank you so much for engaging.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there's a question from Siwe Sitole. Do you know? No?
Okay. I know Siwe Hato. I don't know Siwe Sitole.
Hi, Siwe. Okay, so
hello, Siwe.
Would you recommend moving to Japan with a 4-year-old? Is the education system accommodating to non-Japanese speakers?
The public education system, no. Your child will have to learn Japanese.
Yes.
But they are international schools, but they are obscenely expensive.
Yes.
And then depending on where you live, so in Aichi Prefecture and in Mie Prefecture and in Shizuoka Prefecture, there's a very massive Brazilian community. So they are Brazilian schools where the language of instruction is in Portuguese because the communities are so big. So in certain prefectures, there are certain communities. So I don't know, Siwe, if you are Brazilian or if you're Turkish, where you're from, but maybe you could find a community, but it's probably going to be a little bit unlikely. So yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to send your child to an international school because they are obscenely expensive.
But so to answer my question from my perspective, to answer Siwe's question, would you recommend moving to Japan with a 4-year-old? Because 4-year-olds need kindergarten care, don't they? They do, right?
Yes.
So finding a kindergarten and finding a caretaker to take care of your child when you're at work or whatever, and unless you're going to be a stay-at-home mother, which I guess that will make your life much, much easier. It's definitely possible. It's not impossible. Like nothing is impossible. There's definitely ways to go about it. Would you recommend? I would recommend it if you have a strong support system. So let's say maybe you're coming with a partner, you're coming with other people, and also if you are prepared to send your child to an international kindergarten or an international school, if you have the money, definitely go for it because then your kid also has a community. Your kid also has a better life balance experience and a much richer experience here. So if you can afford all those things and if you can have a support system, definitely go for it, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Music loves man _entertainment.
Oh, I know him. Yeah, I know him.
Hello.
Yeah, MX.
So MX says, Lebo, you've been doing weird stuff to learn different things, and that's what made you so special, my boy. Shout out from MX.
Yeah, I've always been a very odd guy in high school. I was like just random guy in high school. Like I'd always do my own thing. I used to break dance. I was captain of the chess team.
Okay.
So yeah, just very random things. And I've always been known to be the guy who suggests random things, or does random things, or eats random things, or says random things. So yeah, I believe in the power of being random. I really like randomness. And I think when you pass on, which is going to happen to all of us one day, people will remember you for the random person that you are, the weird, crazy things you said or did, as opposed to the nice couch you had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so be yourself. I'm just myself. I guess that's just really it.
Do you know what I also do you know from speaking to you and from just watching, well, not watching, but like speaking to you and and how you carry yourself, and also how you kind of like connect the dots from your childhood and your upbringing. I feel like it's really important, if you are going to have a child in the future, to set your kids up for a very, what is it, dynamic, not dynamics, Huaman, English, no, wait wait what I'm trying to say is, because you were exposed to many different cultures, many different elements of these things, so like you were learning this, you were learning that, you were learning this, you were learning that. I feel like those things are really important to make you an international, a global citizen, right? Like I feel like you are very global. And I think that those like building blocks, those foundations that you got from your high school, from your university, really kind of makes you the person that you are today, to be able to connect with so many people, to be able to learn different languages the way that you do as well, to be able to accomplish what you do, and in the future as well. I feel like sometimes like foundation and how your life starts, and like like things back then, it connects to the future, like the fact that you were exposed to Dutch people, or you're exposed to so many like international things, kind of just propel you to be able to function outside of South Africa.
And when you're young, you don't really think about that. Like, these people are just my friends. I was just playing with my friends. I was just learning how to ride a bicycle. I was just learning how to swim.
Yeah.
When you're young, you just do these things because they're fun. But then as you get older, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I learned ABC,
Definitely.
and I'm very thankful that I was given these opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if, whoever wants to have children in the future, I don't have a child, but this is, what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to let my child do what they want to do. Obviously, I'll try to be a good dad, and, I won't let them go off the beaten path, but let your child do what they want to do, because in experimenting, you will find what you love.
Yep.
And if you know what a child loves doing at an early age, then you can cultivate that and hone that. And then when they're older, they already know what they want to do with their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's a blessing, is to know what you want to do.
So I have what is this? A shout out from Mo_Africa first.
Mo Africa, Molorad. Okay.
Hi. So he says, what a formidable guy. He says, you are so formidable. And I guess she says, what a formidable guy. And I guess people really are really just impressed with how you were able to make this type of life for yourself, how you were able to kind of like carve out this journey filled with so much luck, how you like literally learned Japanese by yourself, obviously with help from other people and your surroundings and your friends and stuff like that. And we can't wait to see where you go next. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mo.
Jigo shokai.
Okay. You need to tell people what Jigo shokai means.
So, Jigo shokai means self-introduction in Japanese. Jigo shokai, self-introduction. So, should I go first? No, I will not. Please go.
Oh, okay. Wow, I always freeze, not just with Japanese, but in English or any language, to introduce myself.
I'll just give you a certain pointer. So maybe what's your name, where you from, where you live now, and what do you do? Maybe your hobbies as well. I know you have a lot of
Okay.
hobbies. You have like millions of
Okay.
hobbies, but keep it to a minimum. Maybe like 5 hobbies or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. まず、皆様、私たちのインスタグラムライブ見てくれてありがとうございます。レボと言います。南アフリカ出身です。南アフリカで育って、10歳はマウルホールというちっちゃい町で育って、その後プリトリアという首都、南アフリカの一つの三つの首都で、14歳育って、その後して、今日本に住んでいます。趣味は絵描くことが好き、料理が好き、旅行が好きと、アクアスケーピングという新しい趣味も好きです。盆栽もめちゃくちゃ大好きです。好きな料理は焼き鳥、寿司とラーメンもめちゃくちゃ美味しいです。日本に来たい人、ぜひ来てください。
来てください。来てください。お願いします。来てください。This guy knows a lot more than he's like.
Okay.
like oh my goodness, that was definitely went above my expectations, and that's amazing. So what I want to ask is Hatsuan. So Hatsuan is Hatsuan pronunciation and how you sound?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
Hatsuan is pronunciation.
So how do you practice your Hatsuan? Because your Hatsuan is, well, from my non-native ears, obviously. So to me, it sounds good. To me, it sounds almost perfect. But your Hatsuan, how do you hone it? How do you perfect it? Because I know that you don't get it right the first time. For example, my Hatsuan is definitely definitely not. But how do you
I don't know. I think it's just listening, right? Like the more you listen, because so something I was taught since I was young is that you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 2 hands. So do more, observe more, and listen more, and speak less because you have 1 mouth. So just listen and absorb. Your brain's a sponge. Just keep listening, and I think with listening, you naturally just improve your, like your Hatsuan, pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
If you just listen, just keep listening to a lot of Japanese. And engage with people, like engage with Japanese people. Actually listen properly to what they say.
Yeah.
And try emulate that accent or the Hatsuan.
Of the Hatsuan. I mean, I feel like I was like right now I was impressed by your Hatsuan, and also like the little like conjugations that you used, the little like adverbs and like adjectives that you used. That was can you tell I'm impressed? Can you tell? Sorry. Oh, George,
thank you.
Okay, anyway, so thank you so much for your Jigo Shokai. That was amazing. Thank you so much. And I feel like you should have much more confidence in yourself because you killed it. You just killed it right now. That's great. And I feel like when someone watches someone, like I said, that looks like them, that has been doing it by themselves, being able to explain themselves like that in another person's language, they feel like, listen, it's doable, it's attainable, right? It's not too far-fetched. Like someone literally having heard you right now, they're like, damn, I can do that too. So it's not such a far-fetched idea where it's so alien, it's so outer worldly, where it's like, So people are saying,
I just want to say, like, it's there's a society for everyone, So I think that you need to find the country or society that matches your values and that matches your personality. Because, for some people, Japan may not be for them, but maybe Sweden is for them. For some people, Sweden may not be for them, but maybe Egypt is for them. So that's all. There's also a value in traveling because you get exposed to all these different cultures.
Definitely.
And then you find like, I like this place. I can see myself living here.
Definitely.
Right? And it's very doable. Like it's not impossible. human beings aren't trees. You have legs, and if you have the means, use those legs. Use your means to go around the world and see which society you like, and try live there. We're doing it, you and I. So if we can do it, you can also do it. It's
Definitely.
not impossible.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. So I'm sorry. One last question. So usually on my channel and on my South Africans Abroad series, that's basically what I'm trying to do. And thank you so much for capturing my purpose. But what I like to ask people is, wherever they've lived outside of South Africa, what have they learned about themselves? So has living in Wakayama, has being living in Japan, how has it changed you? How has it changed your personality? Negatively or positively? Like what tangible or palpable changes have you seen in yourself upon being here?
I've never given that thought. Of course, it boosts your confidence, living here comfortably, because in South Africa, for example, right, like just going to the grocery store, it's so easy. Just go to the grocery store, buy what you need to buy, you pay. But then when you live in a different country, going to the grocery store can be a headache at first. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Am I buying sugar? Am I buying salt?
I'm sorry. Wait. This happened to me the first time, yeah? Sometimes vinegar in Japan looks the same as oil.
Yes.
I was like, what am I buying now? Vinegar or oil? I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And I was like literally standing still for I think about 30 minutes in the condiments aisle because I did not know what was going on. And at that time, I didn't have any confidence to ask anybody because I was like, oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah, how do you even ask these people?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying? Yeah.
Oh no, that's pretty much what I was saying, is that it boosts your confidence because the first time you go to the grocery store, you're like, am I buying salt? Am I buying sugar?
Yeah.
You don't really know. And then as you learn the language and as you learn more about the society, your confidence naturally goes up, because then after a few months, you actually go buy salt because you want to buy salt instead of buying sugar. And then you're like, oh, right, okay, I did it. I bought salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
didn't use my smartphone. No one helped me. I wanted to go buy salt, and I bought the salt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say being in Japan made me more confident, and also being able to talk to different kinds of Japanese people also contributed to my confidence going up, because this is a completely alien language to South Africans. Japanese is not like any South African language.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, I really managed. I really am managing. It makes you feel nice on the inside.
It does, yeah.
That you got to this like completely alien land with a complete.
So going to my question where I was asking you, has living in Japan or living abroad had any positive or negative influences on you? So I'm guessing it has had very, very much positive. Thumbs up all the way, 100%, 10 out of 10.
Yes. Not 10 out of 10, but it's been very good. It's not perfect, like no society is perfect.
Right.
And again, it goes back to what I was saying, that find the place that works for you. For me, this place works. I like this place. But for someone else, it may not work. So for me, I give it a thumbs up.
Right.
But someone else might be a thumbs down. Yeah.
Right.
But for me, it's 2 thumbs up. It's not 10 out of 10. It's not perfect.
Right.
It has its flaws.
Right.
But yeah, I genuinely enjoy it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any questions for... Oh, okay, wait. So you have... People are showing you love here. Hey, I think it's like a...
Oh.
Okay, Gua says, can't wait to see you, Chief, with the clapping.
Yeah.
And someone says, you are so good with your Japanese. And also someone says you are the coolest and most diverse man. And I think I can attest to you being diverse. That's a really cool compliment.
Thank you. Are you allowed to say who the person is, or is that off the table?
Okay, Kwa and Kosi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Is Hosi a guy?
Kosi is a guy, yes.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining my live. Lebo, thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to come chat with me,
Yes.
to explain some concepts. Thank you so much for going in detail, and thank you so much for being transparent as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Oh, there's a question. Is that okay with you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Guys, thank you so much. If you have a question, please write it down. So Dumo Mlilo. Hi Dumo, I went to high school with Dumo. So he
Okay.
said,
Hi, Dumo.
do we have access to African cuisine in those distant lands? So I will go first and answer yes, of course, because everywhere Black people go, we kind of take our culture to those places as well. I don't know about you, Lebo. I don't know, because I know that you like to immerse yourself in that. I do too, but I feel like sometimes when you miss a certain African cuisine, you can get it from Amazon or find a restaurant and then just make it yourself in your own home. But in Tokyo, we definitely do have African-owned restaurants, and maybe I'll make a YouTube video about it. I don't know, but can you answer this question? Do we have access to African cuisine in those distant lands?
Oh, yeah. You can find restaurants in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mainly in the cities.
Yeah.
Osaka and Tokyo.
Yeah. Windy yesterday. And Homotakang, I think that's her name. She says,
Okay.
Beautiful artwork. I recall watching your YouTube channel and you being an artist. Do you sell any of them, perhaps?
Yeah, I actually sold one 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so I do sell art. This, I think she's probably seeing this. This is not, I didn't draw this, guys. I didn't paint this. I bought this. Yeah. This is not my art. It's just part of my collection. But my personal art, yes, I do sell.
And so,
I do accept commissions.
If people want to buy your personal art, how do they? Do they just email you, DM you, or website?
Yeah, just send me an email or a DM.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I will have to wrap this up, but Lebo, thank you so much for being a really wonderful, fun guest today. And I wish you all the best. I really wish you all the best and all the success in the world. You deserve it. You're a great person. Keep being humble, okay?
Thank you. Are you going to say thank you to everyone in Japanese? Thank you for watching. Yeah.
恥ずかしい。
I'll do it.
ありがとう、皆さん。ありがとうございました。見た。Oh, gosh. Thank you so much for watching. ありがとう。
見てくれた。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。ライブ見てくれた。ありがとうございました。Thank you so much.
はい。またぜひ見てください。お願いします。
またぜひ見てください。皆さん。ありがとうございます。I will upload this live on my YouTube channel. So if you did not catch it, or if you were late to catch it, or if you had some technical difficulties, please catch it on my YouTube channel and you can leave your comments there and maybe Lebo can answer them as well on that side. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.